They say money talks but respect whispers, and on this day both would speak loud enough to silence an entire restaurant. When Ava Montgomery turned her nose up at Jordan, she thought she was making a statement. High heels, designer bag, a diamond bracelet glinting in the sun, she had it all, at least in her mind. Jordan? To her, he was just a man in dusty sneakers and a plain t-shirt, asking to sit at her table like they were equals. She laughed. Not a soft, polite laugh but a sharp one, the kind that cuts. "Excuse me," she said, tilting her sunglasses down. "This is the VIP patio. I don't think you belong here." The waiter shifted uncomfortably. Jordan said nothing. He glanced down at the reservation card. His name was on it. But Ava didn't care. She saw his skin. She saw his clothes. And in her world that was enough. "I don't care what your name is," she snapped. "This isn't a bus stop. You can't just show up hoping to marry rich." The people around them chuckled. The man at the next table gave a low whistle. "Brutal," he muttered. But Ava wasn't finished. "Men like you," she said, waving a manicured hand, "always think we owe you attention. Just because you're tall or you've got some sob story. You want to impress me? Try buying a real watch first." What Ava didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Jordan was no ordinary man. What she mistook for a knockoff shirt was custom-tailored. What looked like a cheap phone case was a limited edition carbon fiber prototype. And that sob story she assumed he had? That was the journey of a man who went from foster care to Fortune 500 before the age of 30. Jordan wasn't broke. He was building an empire. But he never flaunted it. Not until someone tried to humiliate him for sport. "You done?" Jordan asked quietly. Ava smirked. "Oh, I'm just getting started." She waved over the waiter. "Table for one. And please move him back to the sidewalk before someone thinks I'm on a date with the help." The waiter looked at Jordan helplessly. "Sir. I'm sorry." Jordan nodded slowly. He stood up. Every eye followed him. Some were smirking. Some pitying. Some just curious. Jordan turned to Ava one last time. "You ever heard the phrase, 'Don't judge a book by its cover'?" She rolled her eyes. "Yeah. And I also heard fairy tales aren't real." He smiled. "Well, this one's about to be." Jordan walked away calm, not a trace of anger in his stride. But inside something was boiling. Not because he was insulted, but because of how easily everyone accepted it. How quick people were to believe a black man in simple clothes couldn't possibly belong in a place like that. What they didn't see was what came next. 20 minutes passed. Ava was sipping champagne, laughing with a friend she called once a month for clout. Then the noise started. A deep, thunderous engine growl echoing through the valet entrance. Heads turned. Conversations paused. Out front, a Rolls-Royce Phantom, jet black with midnight blue trim, glided to a stop. The chauffeur stepped out and opened the back door. And who should step out? Jordan. Fresh blazer. Timepiece that made the maitre d's jaw drop. The man who didn't belong now looked like he owned the restaurant. Ava choked on her drink. Her friend blinked in disbelief. "Is that the guy you just—" Ava stood. Wait a minute," she stammered, trying to compose herself. Jordan walked right past her. Didn't even look her way. Instead, he greeted the restaurant owner, who rushed to shake his hand, and whispered something in his ear. The owner turned to the hostess. "Clear table 7, he ordered. "Mr. Carter and his guests eat for free." Ava's jaw fell open. "Mr. Carter?" she repeated. "As in Carter Capital?" Jordan finally turned to her, slowly, with the calm of a man who's already won. "I think you dropped something," he said. "Your standards." The entire patio went quiet. Ava tried to laugh it off. "Wait, you should have said something. You didn't tell me who you were." He raised an eyebrow. "Would it have mattered? Or did I need to prove my worth before you could see it?" She stammered, "No, I mean yes, I just didn't know." "Exactly," Jordan said. "You didn't ask." Ava tried to recover. "Well, maybe we could start over." "I didn't mean to," but Jordan's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. "I don't start over with people who see me as less unless I show them more." Her friend looked embarrassed now, shrinking in her seat. Ava tried to save face. "It's not personal, Jordan. I just have standards." "So do I," he replied. "But mine don't come with a price tag." He turned to leave. The valet handed him the keys. Just as he reached for the door, A man in a suit rushed over. "Mr. Carter, I'm from the city council. Please, can I have a word? We've been hoping to secure funding for the youth initiative and heard you were in town." Jordan smiled. "Set up a meeting. My office will call you back." Ava's head spun. "Wait, what youth initiative?" she asked. But no one answered. Everyone was too busy watching Jordan glide away like a king, while she stood there, heart pounding, cheeks burning, realizing what she'd just lost. After Jordan pulled away in the Rolls-Royce, Ava stood frozen on the patio, humiliation and disbelief swirling inside her like a storm. She could feel every eye on her, the whispers like daggers slicing through her pride. How could she have been so blind? So quick to judge someone based on his looks, his clothes, his skin? But Ava wasn't the type to just walk away, especially not when her ego was bruised and her pride was on the line. That night, she lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying the encounter over and over in her mind. The more she thought about it, the more she realized something she had long ignored. Her life, as perfect as it looked, was a fragile house of cards. Her wealthy family, the luxury parties, the high-profile job, none of it felt real anymore. It was all surface, masks hiding deep insecurities she never admitted. And Jordan was the real deal. Not just because of his money but because of his grit, his journey, his authenticity. The next morning, Ava's phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "If you want to understand what real power looks like, meet me at 6 p.m. the Griffin Lounge." No signature. No name. Just that. Ava's heart raced. Could this be Jordan reaching out? Or someone else entirely? Curiosity and the need to redeem herself pushed her to go. When she arrived, the upscale lounge was buzzing with the city's elite. Ava scanned the room nervously, wondering if she'd been set up. Then she saw him, Jordan, sitting calmly at a corner table, dressed sharp, a confident smile on his face. "I figured you'd come," he said without surprise. Ava swallowed her pride and sat down. "I owe you an apology," she began, "for how I treated you. I was wrong." Jordan nodded slowly. "Thank you. That means more than you know." For the next hour they talked, not about money or status but about their lives, struggles, and dreams. Jordan shared stories of nights spent homeless, waking up hungry, and fighting to be seen beyond his circumstances. Ava confessed her fears of being trapped in a life that was expected of her but didn't fulfill her. It was a conversation neither expected but both needed. Just as the night was winding down, Jordan's phone buzzed again. He glanced at the screen and then looked at Ava, his expression unreadable. "I have to take this," he said, stepping away. Ava watched him disappear into the crowd. Moments later, the lounge doors burst open, and two men in suits strode in, eyes scanning the room like hunters. Ava's breath caught. One of them whispered urgently into a phone, "He's here." Jordan returned quickly, his face grim. "We don't have much time," he said. "They're after something I have, something that could change everything." Ava's mind raced. "Oh, what do they want?" Before he could answer, a loud crash echoed from the entrance. Security guards rushed in, surrounding the men. Chaos erupted. People screamed and scrambled. In the confusion, Jordan grabbed Ava's hand. "We have to go. Now." They pushed through the crowd and burst into the night. But just as they turned a corner, a black SUV screeched to a halt, blocking their path. The doors swung open. A silhouette stepped out, face hidden in shadow. "Jordan Carter," the voice was cold and menacing. "You're coming with us." Ava's heart pounded. This was no ordinary confrontation. This was something far bigger than she realized. Jordan tightened his grip on her hand. "Hold on. This is just the beginning." And with that, they were swallowed by the darkness. The black SUV's door slammed shut behind Jordan and Ava as the vehicle sped off into the night, leaving the chaotic lounge scene far behind. Inside, the air was thick with tension. Ava's mind raced, her heart pounding not just from the rush of being pulled into this unknown danger, but from the realization that Jordan's world was far more complicated, and far more dangerous, than she'd ever imagined. "Who were those men?" she finally asked, voice barely steady. Jordan didn't answer right away. Instead, he stared out the window as the city lights blurred past. "They're from a powerful corporation," he said finally, "one that's been trying to bury the startup I built. It's a technology company, a project I poured everything into, something that could disrupt the whole industry and expose years of corruption." Ava's eyes widened. You mean your company? That's why they chased you. Jordan nodded grimly. They don't want anyone to know what we've discovered. And they'll do anything to stop it. For the first time, Ava saw beyond the man in the Rolls Royce, the real stakes, the battles Jordan had been fighting in the shadows. She realized her rejection had been just one small moment in a much bigger war. The SUV pulled up to a sleek, nondescript building. Inside, Jordan was led into a conference room where two sharply dressed men waited. "Mr. Carter," one said, voice dripping with condescension. "You really think you can take us down with your little startup? You're nothing but a pawn playing at a game you don't understand." Jordan met his gaze steadily. "I'm not playing. This is real. And it's only a matter of time before the truth comes out." Meanwhile, Ava was left in the lobby, her phone buzzing nonstop with calls from friends, family, even her boss demanding answers. But none of that mattered now. She needed to know how to help Jordan. Back in the conference room, Jordan was handed an envelope. Inside, a settlement offer, an enormous sum of money to drop the case and hand over his technology. "Take it," one man urged. "Walk away before this ruins you." Jordan's jaw tightened. "I didn't come this far to give up." Suddenly the doors burst open. The man who had pulled Jordan aside at the lounge earlier appeared, flanked by security. "Enough," he said firmly. "Jordan, you're coming with me. You have people who want to protect you and expose the truth. But time is running out." Jordan glanced at Ava's number on his phone. "I need you to trust me," he whispered. "This is bigger than either of us." Before Ava could respond, alarms blared throughout the building. Lights flashed red. "Intruders," a voice announced over the speakers. Panic erupted again. Jordan and his new ally rushed to a back exit, but as they turned the corner, a group of men blocked their path. The fight was on. Ava, watching helplessly, saw her world shatter as Jordan was wrestled to the ground. "Hold on," he shouted over the chaos, locking eyes with her. "I'm not done yet." But then, just as the security forces swarmed, one of the men pulled out a device. Something small, metallic, glowing. A flash of light, a sudden surge of energy. Everything went black. When Ava came to, she was alone, Jordan gone, and the building eerily silent. Her phone buzzed once more. A message from Jordan. Ava's heart pounded as she stared at Jordan's message. "They think they've won. But this is only the beginning. Find me if you want the truth." The building was silent, shadows stretching long and dark. She had no idea where to start, but one thing was clear. She couldn't let Jordan face this alone. The next hours were a whirlwind. Ava hacked into Jordan's encrypted files, piecing together the evidence he'd gathered, proof of massive corruption within the powerful corporation that had tried to buy him out and silence him. Names of executives involved in bribery, cover-ups, and illegal surveillance. Proof that the technology Jordan developed wasn't just a business innovation. It was a weapon against systemic injustice, a way to expose decades of lies. But that wasn't all. Jordan had been gathering testimonies from whistleblowers, victims of the corporation's abuses, and even insiders ready to risk everything. Ava knew this was bigger than a fight over money, it was a fight for the truth itself. She called in favors, reaching out to journalists, activists, and allies Jordan had quietly built. Slowly, a plan took shape, a way to get Jordan out and bring the corrupt to light. Meanwhile, Jordan was trapped in a cold, windowless room guarded by the corporation's most ruthless men. They tried to intimidate him, to force him to sign over his technology and silence his voice forever. But Jordan's spirit was unbreakable. He knew his only hope was Ava. Just as the corporation's men prepared to move him to an undisclosed location, a sudden distraction erupted outside. The lights flickered, alarms blared, and chaos spread. Ava and a small team had broken into the building, armed with undeniable evidence and determination. Security scrambled to contain the situation, but Ava's group stormed the room where Jordan was held, guns raised and voices demanding freedom. Jordan's eyes filled with hope as the door burst open. He was free. Together they raced through the corridors, broadcasting the truth live. Every secret, every scandal, every name exposed for the world to see. The corporation's empire began to crumble before their eyes. Public outrage exploded. Investigations launched. And Jordan's technology was hailed as a breakthrough that could change the world forever. In the aftermath, Jordan and Ava stood side by side, not just as allies but as partners who had survived the storm. Jordan's Rolls-Royce was no longer just a symbol of success. It was a testament to resilience, to fighting back, and to never letting others define your worth. Ava looked at him, the woman who once judged him for being broke, now proud beyond words. "You were never broke," she said softly. "You just needed to be seen." And the world finally did. This story isn't just about one man's journey, it's about the power of truth, the courage to fight injustice, and the lesson that sometimes, those we underestimate have the strength to change everything. So before you judge, remember, there's always more beneath the surface. And sometimes, the richest success comes from the deepest struggles.